Hi there, welcome to Isle Fly Tarot. I'm doing a tarot card reading for Scorpio energy, and we're going to lay out the cards to get the story, and then we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because everybody's kind of at different emotional maturity levels in their Scorpio nature. Scorpio is emotional water sign energy, and it can be about exploring the mysteries of life. And we're emotionally complex human beings, and some people never even get to know themselves emotionally or work through their own emotional confusion about themselves, much less to try to deal with other people. And then it can be about kind of willing to go on the roller coaster of life emotionally, knowing that everything that we go invest in won't work out the way we want, but willing to take that leap of faith and love. And some people aren't willing to do that, and some people harness a more worldly, shadowy Scorpio energy, don't really connect in with their own emotions and feelings, might use their emotions more manipulatively as needed, might be more emotionally invested in themselves or the world or things they like to indulge in, or the ego or the image or the status, and could just not being a very emotionally deep person. And we all tap into Scorpio energy. This might more be a story that could more affect people who are Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising, or have significant Scorpio placements in their chart. It might be something that more affects them right now. But in turn, we all tap into Scorpio. If you like to do deep, meaningful relationships and love, then you're kind of looking for other people who are, and that can be represented by High Vibe Scorpio. So, what's going on in Scorpio? We have the woman holding a coin, we have patience, and the reason that came out is the third chakra. Lately, well, I guess I just kind of view the third chakra as Leo energy. The first chakra is like our core foundational level of meeting our needs and feeling maybe stable and grounded within ourselves a little bit. And then in the second chakra, it can kind of be willing to get to know other people and work with other people. And then as we kind of maybe feel more comfortable at that stage of life, Leo and the third chakra can be like our life force energy and kind of more what motivates and inspires us and what we want to give birth to. And the truth is, some people, Leo, can represent our ego nature. Are we more emotionally invested in ourself and our ego or things of the world? Like to be in relationships, kind of more to indulge in it, or to be in one, maybe more for the status or the ego or the image of it? Or have we tempered our more worldly egoic nature and emotionally grown and matured ourselves and want to be in more high vibe Leo, Taurus, and Scorpio relationships where it is more about kind of emotionally growing and maturing ourselves, wanting to be in more authentic, loving, inspiring relationships where in high vibe temperance, patience, of Sagittarius energy, it's kind of like looking at life as an adventure to be lived. And some people are motivated and inspired, both Leo and Sagittarius are fire sign energy. They like to be in relationships too, but it's more about we all can want stability and security in our life, which is what the Queen of Pentacles can represent. But they're more inspired, I want those things just like other people, but I am willing to be more authentically myself, come out from behind my defensive egoic nature. I've emotionally grown and matured myself. I'm less about it having to be just about me or these things of the world. And the temperance card, the patience card, talks about balance. I want a balance in my life. And the other people could be more tipped out of balance where love or justice or fairness or having to temper their more worldly egoic nature or be more about themselves, they can kind of emotionally turn their back on that because it's just not as important to them. It being about themselves or the status or the ego or the image or the money or the power or the things they indulge in are more important than being balanced. And they could have no interest in being more balanced. They don't mind being tipped out of balance more in favor of themselves or the world. And they just kind of try to balance out their emotions about the fact that that's their truth. They might try to present themselves as more balanced, more equally motivated by truth and love and justice and fairness than they really are in order to try to get people to keep being in relationship with them. But it's really not the truth of who they are. And, we can always have some more mismatched relationships in our life. And sometimes we're having to be very patient with some people in our life who we could think are a little more shadowy, prideful, stubborn, deceptive, manipulative, full of themselves, self indulgent. And then they want us to keep doing that. And we can do it for a while, you know? But eventually it gets old, right? The people who harness these energies in a more high vibrational way can be loving and encouraging to other people, hoping that the other people, Leo energy, also represented by the sun, and the Queen of Pentacles holding one pentacle, which is truth and love. You can work together with other people, trying to be loving and encouraging, and hope that they become enlightened to the truth. But some of them never will. If that requires them to temper themselves and be less about themselves or indulging their more immature nature, they don't want to do it. And sometimes people run out of patience and they see the truth. Our truth is different. So, then we have the financial constraints, the goddess of the moon, and the first chakra, and the hostilities card. And the hostilities card reminds me of the Five of Swords, which is Aquarius energy. I have a dream. The moon in Pisces energy and Cancer. I have a dream of being in relationships where people look at life from a higher perspective, harnessing high vibe Aquarius energy. Listen to love and intuition to guide them instead of defending their more worldly, egoic nature. And for some people, that's a core foundational truth. But the other people have their core foundational truth that they operate from. And that's what the Five of Swords can talk about also. I have my truth, you have your truth, I defend my truth and my philosophy of life. You have your truth, you have your philosophy of life. Sometimes shadowy people hope to get in relationships with people who are more motivated and inspired by love, because those people put a lot of work and effort to make a relationship work, and they hope those people never see through the illusion that these people aren't ever going to work with them in a more just and fair and balanced and authentic and loving way, because that is not their truth. But so long as the high vibe people in their life keep thinking, oh no, the financial constraints card reminds me of the Five of Pentacles, which can be hoping that other people will change, that they'll learn those lessons in life, that they'll work through their fears or their defensiveness or their ego or their stubbornness or whatever. But eventually some people, you can't stay in denial of the truth anymore, which is kind of what the moon can be about. But for a long time, we can defend the illusion because we could love those people, whether it's your adult child, brother, sister, mom, dad, long-term friend, romantic interest. We can all have mental conflict about listening to our intuition and standing up for ourselves and our truth, because that could cause some problems and make people upset, and then there's an argument. But for a long time, people can do that, and some people are doing that. Some other people, it's like, I can't keep living in illusion. This is not my truth. I feel defensive. I could feel like people are being deceptive, manipulative. That shadowy energy. You're either being authentic, emotionally mature, truthful, just, fair, loving, or you're trying to confuse people about the truth of who you are and doing shadowy things, hoping that other people won't want to give up on the job or the relationship or something. And eventually, some people are like, I can't keep moving forward like this. I can't keep living a life of illusion. This is not my truth. I don't think you're just and fair. I think you're immature. I think you're deceptive or manipulative or whatever. And I don't want to do it anymore. And then that can make everybody upset. But the people who are more being deceptive or manipulative or bossy or controlling or more about themselves or stubborn, they're defensive to listening to their intuition and taking action more in a just and fair and loving way. And so they will be defensive to that truth, and they will probably go repeat an old pattern because they haven't been illuminated to the truth that maybe they got some healing and growing and maturing to do. And we could have all been at stages like that in our life at different times if we look back when we were 18 and 21 and 25, right? But, if you're older, you'd kind of hope that people have learned some of these lessons. And sometimes the people that we're dealing with, they are younger, and everybody's got to learn some lessons the hard way. And it's like, I'm not going to try to change someone. If they're younger, they're going to have to go live some life experience and learn some lessons the hard way. I could have tried to be loving and encouraging, help them maybe love and believe in themselves. Maybe the Five of Pentacles can talk about lack mentality. The Moon can talk about fears. The Five of Swords can be that people have mental conflict, either about just loving themselves, so they're in more codependent energy, want to be in friendship and relationships, think that's the answer to making them feel better, because they really don't want to deal with these issues within themselves, so they're looking to something else to make them feel better. And we've maybe all kind of been there, and they're going to have to go on that journey and hopefully eventually realize that these things we can go make our life about, if we haven't learned to, I do view high vibe Leo as loving yourself and emotionally investing is what the Queen of Pentacles would be, of growing and healing and maturing myself so I don't keep repeating old patterns, and then I can move forward a little more clear about my truth, kind of loving and believing in myself, so I take action more out of truth and love for myself than taking action more out of fear, insecurity, or something like that. And then sometimes we just know some people, they are more about themselves, more about the world, and some people in our life we have detached from and we've moved away from them. And even though it could have been difficult, because in the Aquarius energy we could have had a dream that we wanted to have come into reality with those people, but eventually we kind of saw the truth that how we want to move forward, what our core foundational truth is, what kind of more drives and motivates us. Some people defend making their life more about either themselves or caught up in the illusion of the world, and those are the most important things. And since those are the most important things in their life, and that's what drives and motivates them, they think you should stay in friendship or relationship with them or that job more because of the status and the image or because of your fear or your insecurities, and make your life about those things. And some of the high vibe people are like, what about love? And they're like, that's not as important. The most important thing is just to be in a relationship. You should stay in a relationship. This looks good by worldly standards. Leo can mean that it looks victorious and successful. Taurus can mean it has stability and security to it. So sometimes you can be in jobs, friendships, and relationships with people, and they think you should keep moving forward with them in a relationship, regardless of if they're shadowy or not. They would maybe stay in it and do out of their own fear and the ego and the image and codependency or whatever. But the other people might not be willing to stay in it for those reasons. And I think when people are more shadowy, they're always really kind of defensive in a relationship. For one, because they could know they're creating an illusion about the type of person they are, and it's really not the truth of who they are. And some of them have quite a lack mentality, and they're living more from their ego nature, trying to create this illusion about the type of person they are, and they haven't done some of this inner work within themselves, and they're just trying to present themselves as a more stable, grounded, emotionally mature person. But that really, they could be people have a lot of inner conflict within themselves about knowing their own worth and value, but they never work through it. you know, it's kind of like in their pride and ego. No, no, I don't got to do that. No, I don't want to deal with that stuff. I don't want to. That takes time and effort, and I just don't want to do it. I think I don't have to. I think I'm bright enough or smart enough or attractive or charming or got stability or security or social clout or whatever. I think I think it'll be okay. And they move forward and they never deal with those issues within themselves. And but then they kind of stay defensive in the workplace, friendships, or relationships that they're in, and it kind of sabotages relationships. Since they have mental conflict about dealing with the truth of some issues, their own past pain and heartbreak, how things or people in the world manipulate them, or their own defensive nature, or ego nature, or insecure nature, or whatever, they could think everyone else feels and thinks that ways also. But other people are inspired to free themselves from their fears and their insecurities and their mental conflict and their past pain and heartbreak. Those people change because they don't want to keep staying in that energy. And sometimes, generally, probably when we get in a friendship or a relationship or a job where people are being kind of loving and encouraging and supportive, or at least more so than some of the friendships, relationships, or jobs that we've been in, then it's like, oh, you know what? I do have some of these issues that, right now I could feel like, or at these different times in our life, this seems more balanced, more encouraging and stuff and loving. I'm going to work through some of these issues because I feel like those things are kind of a roadblock to me moving forward in my life differently. And I don't want those things to keep being a roadblock in my life. So that's when those people get inspired within themselves to kind of put some work and effort. And the temperance card is Sagittarius energy about higher learning and education. I'm going to take a look at some of those things. And I'm going to, I want to heal. The Five of Swords comes after the Four of Swords. I want to reflect on the truth of some of those issues that may be causing mental conflict. And I'm willing to look at the truth of it. Some of these situations that happened in my life, that maybe when I felt left out in the cold, maybe when I didn't deal with some of my fears or lack mentality, and and I dealt with other people that had their issues, I'm willing to look at all of it. Where did I need to heal and grow and mature myself? How did I contribute to some things not working out? What about the people I was in friendship and relationship with? Be willing to see the truth about those people and where they were at and kind of what drove and motivated them and some of their more shadowy or whatever ways of being. And just kind of accept the truth of it, that everybody is kind of where they're at. Everybody has their idea of the dream life and kind of what drives and motivates them. And, we come in contact with all these different people to kind of help us get more clear about what our truth is. But it does take work and effort, and you have to be inspired to even want to do it. And some people are, because they don't like those things continuing to manipulate them. And other people could have a lot of mental conflict about dealing with any of it. They don't want to see the truth about themselves. They don't want to see the truth about other people in their life that maybe they would benefit from. if they were just willing to accept the truth that we're fallible human beings. Can we love people? And they were kind of bossy. I think so. Some people have a harder time with that. Can I love some people and maybe they were kind of manipulative or a little controlling or not very loving or very just or fair? You know, and that's the thing with Scorpio too, is that it can be this kind of black and white thinking. And some people have a hard time wrapping their head around the gray. You know, people are either good or people are bad. And it's like, how about they're a fallible human being who had their own lessons to learn? And we've all got different things that can more manipulate us. Like, um, some people are more controlling. Other people, that's not their issue. They don't try to control people. Some people are more stubborn. Other people aren't. You know, but everybody can have their own thing. But some people just really have a hard time acknowledging that truth, either about themselves and or other people. And it, some people gotta go on more life experiences. Some people just still aren't clear about their own truth, and maybe they don't are so caught up in trying to present themselves a certain way, and that becomes the primary focus in their life, that somewhere along the way they don't even know what their truth is anymore. And then they can feel left out in the cold. Be the moon can kind of talk about being confused. And you know, again, Scorpio talks about that we're these emotionally complex human beings, that just to get to know ourselves, what is my truth? What are my dreams? What do I think would make me happy? What do I find emotionally fulfilling? Um, and some people have made their life so much about conforming to the world and could have other people in their life who make their life more about these things of the world. And some people just have a really hard time standing up for themselves or speaking their truth. Well, that's their thing they need to work on if they want to. And some people are like, I don't want to deal with any of it. And then if I don't want to deal with it and I get in a relationship with someone, I don't want them to deal with their issues either. And then I want whatever manipulates me, they should let it manipulate them too. But some of those people stay in this constant state of stagnancy in a way. And other people, and they could just accept it. Like, that's the way of the world. You know, there's all these things and all these people, whatever, that you got to appease. And it's like, no, you don't. High vibe energy is, we start out over here with the appreciation card, which is like the Nine of Pentacles. I am not a child, and I am my own person with my own truth. Virgo energy can talk about your truth, your own unique talents, skills, and interest, and the things that you like to in the community of the Three of Pentacles and the Three of Cups, the things and people that you would like to invest your time, energy, and effort into that you enjoy. Can that be what other people in your life, that they would want activities and people that they like and would like to go enjoy? No. And do we want to maybe hang out with and do some of the activities they do and hang out with some of the people they do? No. We're our own individuals. You know, but sometimes people get so much in this group think, and they could have people in their life who don't like people being more independent. It's kind of like, sometimes it makes me think about jumping in and jumping out of like a gang or something, and people don't even realize how manipulated they are, especially if they have people in their life that think, well, the way I think and the way I live my life, that's the just and fair way, and you should live your life like that too, and you shouldn't be more independent, and you shouldn't be more independent of me, and you should have mental conflict of being more independent of me, whether they're a friend or a family member. And you should live your life like me. And I make my life about these things, and I don't do those things, and I don't ever become more independent. And at the end of the reading, which is also the reason why the reading came out, is a deceit card, which reminds me of the devil and the Seven of Swords, which is Capricorn and Aquarius, which in shadowy can be, I make my life more about conforming to the world, more about my ego and my image and my status. That's the most important thing, that people view me a certain way. And you should make your life about that too. And you shouldn't become more independent in the world. You shouldn't love yourself. You shouldn't listen to your intuition. You shouldn't align with your own high vibe Gemini and Leo and Capricorn and Aquarius energy to free yourself from this letting all these different things manipulate you. Because the devil is about trying to make us not listen to our more high vibrational, loving, intuitive, creative, inspired nature. The devil does not want us to free ourselves from all these things that the devil tries to manipulate us with. High vibe energy wants to give birth to something new in the sun. Just like God or other people who are in high vibe energy want us to love and believe in ourselves, to listen to a higher truth and justice, not let the world and other people and our more own shadowy, immature nature make us go invest more in taking action in our life, more out of self-indulgence or fear or ego, and make our life more about these things we indulge in, or make our life about thinking we're living the dream life, when you don't realize how all those things are just kind of things. High vibe energy is about a balance. Do I want some of those things and want to go indulge in some of these things in the world too? High vibe energy is about balance. Can I go enjoy some things in the world, but I do it in balance? I don't make some of those things in the world so important, like they're the answer to all my problems, that I invest in them more and more and more, when it's not the truth. I keep doing it and I keep feeling left out in the cold, confused, mentally conflicted, maybe feeling abandoned, maybe feeling unloved. I was investing in something that wasn't the truth. I better learn to stand up for myself. I better start healing. I got to detach from some of these things that we have our more high vibe nature and our more shadowy nature. And then we have people in our life that we can love and we can enjoy their company. But some of those people, more what we have in common with them is more aligned with our more worldly, shadowy, egoic, prideful, stubborn, defensive, fearful, codependent, self-indulgent nature. And other people in our life could be people who encourage us to more love and believe in ourselves. Well, when are we going to see the truth? My own shadow nature really doesn't have my best interest. My shadow nature wants to be in the driver's seat of my life. Let's go indulge in all this shit. Let's be all about ourselves. Who gives a fuck about anybody else? And make me be very self-consumed and all about myself or my ego or my image or lust and greed. But it doesn't matter if I have nobody loving in my life. It doesn't matter if I end up in the gutter. It's going to lick its fingers and say, damn, that was great. It's like the shadowy energies of the world exist. And we, as a vessel, as a human being, have the free will to pick the different thoughts and emotions that we choose to sit in, and which ones we're going to burp and feed and grow into a monster or a beautiful creation, right? But we have to be willing to see the truth. What's more shadowy, more immature, more self-indulgent, doesn't have our best interest? Who are the people in our life who tempt us in our more worldly nature, our more codependent nature, don't like us being more independent, don't want us to listen to our intuition, don't want us to heal, don't want us to love and believe in ourselves? want us to stay in that job, friendship, or relationship, and maybe make our life more about these things of the world. And who are the people in our life who are encouraging us to love and believe in ourselves? And some people, it could just be friends or family members, which the first 30 to 50 years of our life are pretty caught up in the world. And so then a lot of the people in our life are people that we could have that in common with. We could have some more loving and encouraging people in our life that are less manipulated by those things of the world, but it can be hard to become independent of some people in our life that could be part of our core foundation, our family or friends that we've had in our life all our life. Because we wanted them to move forward with us. Well, what if they're not moving forward? And they're like, nope, I'm going to do this. You can go with them if you want, but I might turn my back to you and not want to invest in you anymore. If you become more independent, if you work through some things that manipulate me, that used to manipulate you, and you don't want to do that anymore and live your life like that anymore, I'm going to be defensive to you. I'm going to go find other people to invest my time, energy, and effort into. Well, sometimes when you're going to stand up for yourself and your truth, you might have to go through a period of feeling left out in the cold, because you kind of felt left out in the cold in the friendship or the relationship that you were in anyway. And I don't want to keep being confused and conflicted and manipulated and rejected. I don't think loving people would want me to feel that way. But sometimes it's some of the people that we love that invest in operating more in their prideful, stubborn, manipulative ways that make us feel that way. And then we have a hard time wanting to see the truth about it. But if we were to listen to our intuition at kind of a core foundational level, it's like, well, I don't think that's just and fair. And I don't think people who love me should be trying to manipulate me. I don't think people who love me should be trying to confuse me about the truth. I don't think people who love me shouldn't want me to be more independent, to love and believe in myself. And it can be hard because at one point in time, we viewed those people very highly. We viewed them as people we look to, and some people are still looking to other people in their life. Instead of listening to their own intuition and living their more authentic life, they're still very codependent on some people, and they're not willing to become more independent of them. And some of those people are codependent on like friends or family, but they can't be in a romantic relationship with those people. So they want to be in a relationship with other people, but they're always torn and conflicted. Well, these are the people I'm trying to build a life with and have a new beginning with. But the other people in their life, they haven't become more independent of them. And so maybe it's always checking to see if those people think this is okay. And if those people were to say, no, we have a problem with it, we're defensive to those people. We don't want you to move forward with those people anymore. Well, that's when some of those people will keep aligning with like their friend or family group because they're not willing to be more independent of them. They're still more codependent on those people. And it isn't anything to blame. We can want to blame like other people in people's life. Those people are just really, they are a reflection of some of the same things that are going on within some of the people that we know. It's trying to get us in high vibe Virgo and Leo to see the truth. That it's kind of like we're a third party to some other relationship in their life. And for some people, They were in a relationship with someone, but for some reason that relationship didn't work out, so they had to move away from that person, but they still feel left out in the cold from that relationship. And some of them still have mental conflict about it. There may be things about it they don't want to accept the truth of. But then they go get in another relationship and they still haven't really come to terms with that old relationship. And then it causes them this mental conflict because they still haven't really detached from that other relationship that they were in. And if they're in a relationship with some other people who have, they're not, they worked through it. They kind of accepted the truth of wherever that other relationship was at. They did move on from it. They accepted the truth of it. We kind of have different dreams, different aspirations, different ways of how we want to move forward. And I am ready to commit in this new relationship. But then sometimes when one person's in that energy, they get in a relationship with someone who's not in that energy. And then we're in a more mismatched relationship. And, so the high vibe people gotta know their worth and value, listen to their intuition, stand up for themselves in an energy of love. If you're not ready to move forward in this way, and you have some mental conflict, or you have some people in your life that, you're still more aligned with, I wish you peace and love. Go do that. Go align with that. Go align with those people, or make your life about whatever you want to make it about. But I have a dream I'm trying to manifest, and I can only manifest that with other people who are on the same page as me. And if that's not your truth, that's not your truth. But continuing to stay here, hoping one day maybe you'll work through it, or you'll change, because the fives can talk about change, and this kind of makes me think of the Five of Pentacles and the Five of Swords. Some people will never change. Some people will never grow up. Some people will never quit being more about the world. Some people will never be being more codependent. And that's when the high vibe people in their life have to work through their own fears and insecurities about detaching from those people and letting, if you've tried to work with people in a just and fair and loving way, but they don't want to see the truth about some things that manipulate them, or work through their own fears or insecurities, or grow up or mature themselves, I accept that you are where you're at. And sometimes we got out of a relationship, and then there could be other people that we want to be in a relationship with, and those people could be like, oh, well, when we weren't more staying in a friendship or relationship, I was listening to my intuition and I moved on. Well, then, again, some people could think of going back to an old relationship just because they don't like feeling left out in the cold. And other people are like, no, there was already things about that I didn't like. I mean, some people in my life, maybe it didn't work out because we were on different pages. I might communicate with them. Where are you at now? Are we on the same page now? Are we not? But other people, it might be like, no, I already know our truth is different. High vibe people know their worth and value and listen to their intuition. We can only work with other people who are willing to work together with us. Reveal the truth, be more authentic, be more loving, in Gemini, align more with truth and love. And if that's not their truth, or they're not working together with me in that way, I'm going to wish it peace, and I'm going to go have this new beginning, and then kind of in a high vibe Capricorn Aquarius, I'm going to listen to my intuition. I have a dream. If there's people I would like to be in friendship or relationship with, but those people are in a relationship with someone else, this isn't their truth, then I accept the truth of it. My dream couldn't come into reality with them anyway. So I'm not going to stay in denial of the truth. I'm going to offer truth and love to it to keep moving forward. And then I kind of view this card of the anxiety card kind of like the Eight of Swords, and I view this one like the Seven of Swords. It's letting go of that one sword. There was some people in my life that I would have liked to work together with in this way, but I accept the truth that that isn't the reality. So I accept the truth of it. I get out of my ego about it, my mental conflict about it, wish them peace and love, and I move forward, believing in myself, believing in my dreams. And then it frees you, because high vibe Capricorn is freeing yourself from things that were kind of manipulating you. And you go have this new beginning. I'm going to focus working with people who do work together with me more in this energy. And the people in my life who that's not where they're at, you know, I wish you peace and love, but that's not my idea of the dream life. That might be yours. And I'm not going to let the fact that I might have love for some people keep me stuck. So sometimes, like looking at this as the devil, sometimes, high vibe energy wants to give birth to new things, not for people to keep repeating old patterns. And if you're someone who is kind of inspired to keep shedding old layers of yourself, working through some of these issues so you can keep moving forward, facing your fears, and loving and believing in yourself, offering truth and love to other people for them to move forward with you, it's kind of like the devil's like, shit, I can't stop that person, but maybe I can stop these people that they love, and then that'll keep them stuck. And high vibe energy is going to be a good leader in the world, showing other people who could know that you have love for them, just like they have love for other people and things. I'm not going to let the love that I have for someone, though, or love for things, manipulate me to such a degree that I'm not living my authentic truth and standing up and taking action in my truth. And that's being a good leader in the world. And the other people keep letting it more manipulate them, and it keeps them in this state of conflict. So, what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Scorpio energy? Moving forward with people in their life, friends, romantic workplaces, and defending the people who harness these energies in a more high vibe way, and kind of keeping their distance from the people who they think harness them in a more shadowy way. What they don't see coming is the Ten of Swords, the High Priestess, and the Queen of Cups, and the reason is because of the Eight of Cups. So Scorpio is fixed sign energy. It's kind of, I believe, more the emotional water sign energy that we tap into when we're in the middle in a relationship, with people, because it's fixed sign energy. Cancer energy of love can get us into something. Scorpio is when we're putting in the work and effort into it. But this is Pisces. And the 8, the 9, and the 10 is Pisces energy. And it helps us transition out of things. Because you offered love to yourself and to listen to your intuition. And Pisces energy can also be, I have this dream of what I find emotionally fulfilling and how I want to live my life, and it's not happening here. And sometimes a cycle and a phase of life that we went through with people, we could have come into a relationship with people and we could have gotten in friendships and relationships because some other relationships didn't work out. And we could have helped each other work through some fears and insecurities and past pain and heartbreak. But then once we work through that and we're kind of feeling back up on our feet again, well, then kind of the truth of how we want to move forward could be different. So it's the same thing, like you could know someone that you were friends with when you're 15 to 18 years old. But then maybe after you get out of high school, kind of the truth of how you really more want, so sometimes people come into our life for a season. And we could have been loving and encouraging people to each other. Some of them, maybe it was difficult the whole time, but maybe there was things that we kind of enjoyed, could get along well enough. But maybe then when other people have an opportunity and meet other people, or other people move in to the town or the neighborhood, you could find people that are more on the same page as you. Some of the other people could find people who are more on the same page as them. And everybody kind of wants to kind of move forward and invest in their truth. But you could realize also that some other people, the 8 of Cups is going to the 9 of Cups, and kind of like the 9 of Pentacles and Virgo. Virgo also is an energy within ourselves that we tap into. Taurus and Leo and Aquarius are all fixed sign energies, where kind of what we're more tapped into, we're in the midst of something. Virgo and Pisces help us transition out of a phase of life. We accept the truth that kind of what we find emotionally fulfilling, how we want to move forward, what we love, what we want to more invest in. Some people do like to live more from their mind than their heart. We could find in our Scorpio nature that, maybe they aren't really interested in a more deep, meaningful relationship. And so long as it's good by worldly standards, they're willing to stay in it. But that's not our truth. And we do want to be in more deep, meaningful relationships, and could have felt like we were in relationships with people who maybe wanted us to indulge them, didn't want us to listen to our intuition, didn't want us to love ourselves or invest in our dreams. And that's not the kind of relationship you want to be in. So you offered yourself that cup of love to close out a cycle. You listened to your intuition out of love for yourself. And now you're listening to your intuition to... You might have also realized that some of the people you were in relationship, again, I view the Queen of Cups as Scorpio. So there could have been people in your life, whether they're male or female, emotionally, they could like to be indulged in a relationship. They didn't want you to listen to your intuition about that. They wanted you to keep indulging them and looking to them to love you and nurture you. But, you learned to love and believe in yourself, and then you wanted to move forward with them, closing out an old cycle and moving forward differently. And they didn't want to do that. They wanted to keep repeating that old pattern. And it's like, well, then you're going to have to go repeat that pattern with someone else. So then they go look to find someone else, because you kind of healed and grew and matured yourself, became more independent. And some people don't want to be in relationships with people who are more independent, who love and believe in themselves. They are looking for people who are more, will be more about them, or make their life, get in a relationship and stay in a relationship for more of these worldly reasons. And if those things of the world aren't more the driving factor in your life, and you want a more just and fair and authentic and balanced life, they don't want to be in a relationship with you, because that's not your truth. And what you might not see coming, for some of the people who are loving and encouraging to people, some of those people will backstab you because they're mad that you wouldn't keep indulging them. They're mad that you saw through the illusion. They're mad that you healed and grew and matured yourself and weren't willing to defend living a more worldly life out of more codependency or something. Or let whatever manipulates them manipulate you. And because of it, some of them will backstab you. They don't want people to view you as more loving or independent. And so they might, yeah, just backstab you because some people, what they have more to offer people is their ego or their image or their charm or their status or their social clout, because they really don't authentically work together with people in love. It's more of a strategy operating from their ego of trying to create this image about who they are. And if you saw through the illusion, they certainly want their image or status to be intact because that's what they have to offer people. And so then they might backstab you. It could cause other people mental conflict, and they could be kind of confused. Well, why didn't this relationship work out? It seemed like it was really good, and they try to confuse people about the truth because they don't want people to know that they're more defensive to being more independent from their self-protective nature, or they're being more about themselves or the world, and that they don't want to be, they're not really more motivated and inspired by love, and that's maybe what you were requiring of them. And you wouldn't settle for the illusion, and that if that wasn't their truth, then you didn't want to stay in the relationship. And so they might backstab you, try to confuse people about the truth, try to confuse the next people they get in a relationship with about the truth of who you are and who the truth of they are. And odds are, if they keep doing that, the same scenario will play out with someone else. That they might keep thinking, no, I just need to hide the truth of who I am better. And you don't really care. You've closed out the chapter. You know the truth of who they are. And you become independent of them. And you're moving on, having a new beginning. And as you're moving on in that way, you're going to invest more of your time, energy, and effort into people who are more on the same page as you. And you know that, there's always going to be shadowy people in the world who wants to be the next shadowy person to indulge in a relationship. But you've learned these lessons in life. And so you're willing to get to know people and work together with people. But now you maybe learn to listen to your intuition, not take action more for these worldly reasons. Know your worth and value. Get to know people to figure out kind of what their truth is. And the people who you think are more shadowy, you're going to be more defensive to them. Keep your distance from them. And the people who you think aren't more in shadow are the people you're going to move forward with. And some other people who have dealt with people that are more shadowy, they could be kind of defensive, willing to get to know you, but they don't want to be deceived and manipulated again by people who kind of wear a false mask. So they will get to know you over time. And when they see that you are who you say you are, you're not more about these other things, don't have an ulterior purpose. It really is more about love. They will want to move forward with you. What's coming up for some people who harness some more worldly, shadowy Scorpio energy that they don't see coming up? My goodness. The Page of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Two of Pentacles. Well, high vibe energy is you are who you say you are. You're not trying to manipulate people or confuse people about the truth of who you are. You're being authentic. You're trying to work together with people from love, treating other people the way you like to be treated, and have learned some of these lessons in life. The shadowy people kind of juggle the truth. Try to create the illusion they're ready to move forward, like in new things. That the Page of Pentacles can be like being a student of life. They try to create the illusion that they're willing to have new beginnings with people. They're a student of life, right? But they're juggling the truth. They create that illusion, move forward with people, but then they're defensive and hiding that at a core foundational level, they're either more about themselves or how it benefits them, or have all this mental conflict and fears or whatever that they don't deal with. And as they try to move forward in that relationship, the same things happen again. The other people are like, we've kind of worked through this phase of it. Why aren't we moving forward? I thought you had resolved some issues in your life, and I thought you were ready to move forward and have this new beginning. And they're like, oops, I was kind of creating an illusion. And because of it, the more high vibrational people in their life who are willing to get more balance within themselves and free themselves from things that manipulate them and move forward in life and heal and grow and mature themselves, those people are going to move on and pick up their investment in them. And they'll be upset again, but they keep not wanting to see the truth. They're either codependent on people and they don't want to see the truth about how those people manipulate them, or they're more manipulated by their more worldly, egoic nature of self, and they don't want to see the truth about that. If you're going to be in a romantic relationship, it should be based on love, and some of these people, they don't want to do love. Well, I think eventually they'll ultimately be in relationships with other people who are more like them. Other people who kind of juggle the truth, which can be about being kind of two-faced, who try to present themselves like that they're something that they're not. And then they can be in a relationship with someone who has their own issues to deal with, like they have theirs. They might not like it, being in a relationship with someone who's maybe juggles the truth, who tries to present themselves as more stable, grounded, emotionally mature, and loving, but they're not. That they aren't either. And if they get in a relationship with them and move forward with those people, even though part of them might want to become single from it, they're so manipulated and codependent. And if it has these things of the world that they want, and those things of the world really manipulate them, or just being in a relationship really manipulates them, they could keep staying in it, even though there's all these things that they don't maybe like about it. But they're defensive to becoming independent of it and maybe having a new beginning because they kind of don't love and believe in themselves. And so they'll keep being in relationships maybe with people they don't like. But if it has the status or the ego or the image or that person doesn't seem like they're ever going to become more independent or heal or love and believe in themselves, well then neither one of us want to see the truth, and we're both manipulated by the world, and we both have fear of love. Let's stay in a relationship. But then they're in a relationship where it's more for these worldly egoic reasons, everybody hiding. They're kind of up in their head of even being in a relationship with anybody, and knowing the other person's probably emotionally manipulating them for their own purposes, and they know they're also kind of manipulating them for their own purposes. That they all might just keep juggling the truth and hope for the best. They had the opportunity to free themselves from all those things that manipulate them, but earth sign energy, it takes work and effort, and the Two of Pentacles is Capricorn energy. Shadowy Capricorn is the devil. You have to be willing to deal with the truth of what manipulates you in order to pick up your investment in it and get more balanced. And again, shadowy energy can be, I don't want to see the truth. I don't want to see the truth about myself or other people. It's like, okay, well then you keep doing that. See how that works out for you. The other people are moving on, emotionally fulfilled and happy, living their authentic life, less manipulated by their ego and their fear and the world and other people in their life. So there you go, Scorpio. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.